Stop trying to be smart. Start being dangerous. Not dangerous to others, dangerous to the games people try to play with you. Right now, someone is trying to manipulate you. Someone is lying to your face. Someone is planning to use your weaknesses against you. And they're succeeding because you're playing chess while they're playing war. Intelligence without ruthlessness is like having a sword made of paper. It looks impressive but crumbles at first contact with reality. Today, I'm going to show you 8 lessons that transform raw intelligence into dangerous wisdom. These aren't comfortable truths from self-help books. These are battlefield tactics from Machiavelli's playbook that have been creating winners and destroying losers for 500 years. The difference between smart and dangerously smart. Smart people know things. Dangerously smart people know how to use what they know to protect themselves, advance their interests, and become impossible to defeat. They understand that knowledge without application is worthless, that wisdom without strategy is weakness, and that intelligence without edge is just entertainment for those who'll exploit you. Lesson 1. Information is ammunition. Never hand out bullets. Every single piece of information you share about yourself becomes a potential weapon in someone else's arsenal. Your dreams, your fears, your plans, your problems, these aren't conversation topics. They're strategic assets that should be guarded like state secrets. Think about this carefully. That coworker you told about your job interview at another company, they now hold your career in their hands. One word to management and you're marked as disloyal. That friend you told about your relationship problems, they now have the perfect gossip to share when they need social currency. That family member you confided your financial struggles to, they now know exactly how desperate you might become and what you might accept. Smart people think sharing creates connection. Dangerously smart people know sharing creates vulnerability. Every detail you reveal is a thread someone can pull to unravel your life. Every secret you share is leverage you're handing over voluntarily. Every weakness you expose is an invitation for exploitation. The sophisticated approach isn't to become a closed book, it's to become a carefully edited story. Share enough to seem open while revealing nothing that could harm you. Give people the illusion of intimacy without the reality of vulnerability. Let them think they know you while ensuring they only know what you want them to know. Machiavelli understood this principle deeply. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Your public persona should be a carefully crafted shield, not a transparent window. People should see strength even when you feel weak, confidence even when you doubt, and certainty even when you're confused. Here's how you implement this. Create categories of information. Public information, things that don't matter if everyone knows. Private information, things only trusted inner circle members learn over time. Secret information, things you take to your grave. Most people have no categories. Everything spills out based on their emotional state. That's why they constantly find themselves betrayed, exploited, and undermined. When someone asks personal questions, you have 3 options. Redirect the conversation to them. People love talking about themselves. Give a vague answer that seems specific. Things are moving in interesting directions. Or simply say, I prefer to keep that private, with 0 apology in your voice. The dangerously smart never apologize for protecting their information. Lesson 2. Trust is a luxury you can't afford. Every betrayal you've ever experienced started with trust. Every time you've been disappointed, let down, or stabbed in the back, it began with you believing someone deserved your faith. Trust isn't noble, it's naive. And in a world where everyone is protecting their own interests, naivety is fatal. This doesn't mean become paranoid. It means become strategic about verification. Reagan had it right. Trust but verify. Except he had it backwards. Verify then maybe trust. And even then, trust only as far as you can verify. People reveal their character through patterns, not promises. Someone who gossips to you will gossip about you. Someone who betrays others will eventually betray you. Someone who lies to their spouse will lie to you. These aren't exceptions, they're rules. And ignoring these rules because someone makes you feel special is how you become another casualty of misplaced trust. The dangerously smart understand that trust should be earned in increments, not given in bulk. You don't hand someone your entire life and hope they handle it well. You give them small opportunities to prove themselves reliable. Only after consistent demonstration of trustworthiness over time do you gradually increase what you entrust to them. Here's the framework. Start everyone at 0 trust. Not negative, just neutral. Let their actions move them up or down the scale. One betrayal, no matter how small, drops them to negative permanently. There are no second chances with trust, because people who violate trust once have shown you their capacity for betrayal. Believing they won't do it again isn't forgiveness, it's foolishness. Machiavelli warned, men are so simple and so ready to obey present necessities. When someone's necessities conflict with your well-being, they'll choose their needs every time. Not because they're evil, but because self-preservation is the most basic human instinct. Expecting someone to harm themselves to protect you isn't trust, it's delusion. The practical application. Never share information that could destroy you if it became public. Never depend on one person for anything critical to your survival. Never believe someone's words over their patterns. Never trust someone's future behavior based on their past promises. Always have contingency plans for when people fail you. Lesson 3. Your reputation is your fortress. Guard it ruthlessly. In the modern world, your reputation is more valuable than money, more powerful than connections, and more important than talent. Money can be earned back, connections can be rebuilt, talent can be developed, but a destroyed reputation? That's a life sentence. The dangerously smart understand that reputation isn't about being good, it's about being perceived as formidable. People don't need to like you, they need to respect the consequences of crossing you. They don't need to love you. They need to understand that damaging your reputation will cost them more than it benefits them. Every interaction you have is either building or destroying your reputation. Every story told about you adds another brick or removes one. Every public decision you make signals to others how you should be treated. Most people don't think about this. They react emotionally, speak carelessly, and act impulsively, then wonder why nobody takes them seriously. Here's what the dangerously smart do. They treat their reputation like a strategic asset that requires constant management. Before any public action, they ask, how will this be perceived? What story will be told about this? How can this be used against me? They don't care about being authentic. They care about being effective. When someone attacks your reputation, you have exactly one chance to respond correctly. Ignore it and you look weak. Overreact and you look insecure. The correct response? Disproportionate consequences delivered calmly. Make the cost of attacking you so high that nobody else considers it worthwhile, but do it with such cold professionalism that you look reasonable. Machiavelli understood. Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved. Your reputation should inspire both respect for your capabilities and fear of your consequences. Not physical fear, social, professional, and strategic fear. The fear of knowing you're someone who doesn't forget, doesn't forgive, and doesn't fail to respond. Build your reputation deliberately. If you want to be known as reliable, never miss a commitment, even small ones. If you want to be known as dangerous to cross, ensure anyone who betrays you faces visible consequences. If you want to be known as valuable, make sure your absence is felt more than your presence. Lesson 4. Emotional display is strategic weakness. Every emotion you show is intelligence you're giving to your enemies. Anger reveals what threatens you. Sadness shows what hurts you. Excitement exposes what motivates you. Fear demonstrates what controls you. The dangerously smart understand that emotions are meant to be felt, not displayed. This isn't about becoming a robot. It's about understanding that your emotional reactions are everyone else's roadmap to manipulating you. The person who can make you angry owns your peace. The person who can make you sad owns your joy. The person who can excite you owns your judgment. The person who can scare you owns your decisions. Professional poker players understand this. The slightest facial twitch can cost millions. Business negotiators know this. One flash of excitement over an offer reveals your bottom line. Interrogators rely on this. Emotional reactions tell them more than words ever could. Yet most people walk around broadcasting their emotional state like a neon sign advertising their vulnerabilities. The dangerously smart practice emotional discipline. They feel everything but show only what serves their purpose. They might be furious inside but display calm disappointment. They might be thrilled inside but show mild interest. They might be terrified inside but project confident consideration. The emotion they display is chosen, not reflexive. This gives them incredible power. When you don't react emotionally to provocation, you force others to escalate or retreat. When you don't show excitement over opportunities, you improve your negotiating position. When you don't display fear in threatening situations, you often cause the threatener to doubt their power. Machiavelli knew, everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. Your emotional display should be a tool, not a truth. It should serve your purposes, not expose your vulnerabilities. It should be controlled, not controlling. Practice this. Next time someone tries to anger you, become quieter and more focused instead. Next time someone tries to excite you, become thoughtful and analytical. Next time someone tries to frighten you, become curious about their motivation. Watch how quickly the dynamic shifts when your emotions don't follow their script. Lesson 5. Generosity is often manipulation in disguise. When someone is unexpectedly generous to you, your first thought shouldn't be gratitude. It should be suspicion. What do they want? What are they setting up? What obligation are they creating? The dangerously smart understand that generosity is rarely free. It's usually an investment in future exploitation. This sounds cynical until you examine the pattern. The boss who suddenly becomes generous before asking you to work weekends. The friend who becomes giving right before they need a favor. The romantic partner who becomes lavish before admitting their betrayal. Generosity is often the setup for a request you can't refuse because you feel indebted. The sophisticated manipulation works like this. They give you something you didn't ask for, creating an obligation you didn't agree to. Then they wait until you're emotionally committed to reciprocating. Finally, they cash in their investment by asking for something worth far more than what they gave. You feel obligated to comply, because refusing seems ungrateful. The dangerously smart never accept generosity without understanding its price. They know that gifts come with strings, favors create debts, and kindness often has an agenda. They don't refuse all generosity. That would be foolish. But they carefully evaluate the giver's motivation and the likely future cost. When someone offers unexpected generosity, ask yourself, what pattern does this fit? Have they been generous to others and then leveraged it? Is this generosity proportional to our relationship? What might they need from me in the future? If the answers concern you, politely decline or immediately reciprocate to avoid debt. Machiavelli observed, men are so simple and so ready to obey present necessities. Your present necessity might be accepting help, but your future necessity will be freedom from obligation. The dangerously smart always prioritize future freedom over present comfort. Never accept gifts that create debts you can't afford to repay. Never take favors from people you wouldn't want to owe. Never let generosity blind you to someone's character or intentions. The most expensive thing you'll ever receive is something that was given to you for free. Lesson 6. Your network is your net worth, but choose wisely. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If those 5 people are losers, you'll become the 6th loser. If they're victims, you'll adopt their victim mentality. If they're successful strategists, you'll absorb their thinking patterns. The dangerously smart don't just network. They strategically select their associations. Most people accumulate relationships accidentally. They stay friends with people from high school who peaked at 17. They maintain relationships with family members who drain their energy and ambition. They spend time with coworkers who complain constantly but never change anything. Then they wonder why their life feels stuck. The dangerously smart audit their relationships ruthlessly. They ask, does this person add value to my life? Do they challenge me to grow? Do they have knowledge, connections, or perspectives I need? If the answer is no, that relationship gets downgraded or eliminated. This isn't cruelty, it's strategy. Your network should be a carefully curated board of advisors for your life. You need someone who understands money better than you. Someone who's navigated the career path you're pursuing. Someone who's built the kind of relationships you want. Someone who's overcome the challenges you're facing. If your network doesn't include these people, you're playing life on hard mode unnecessarily. But here's the sophisticated part. You also need to be valuable to your network. The dangerously smart don't just take, they strategically give. They become the connector who introduces valuable people to each other. They become the resource who shares useful information. They become the asset others want to keep close. This creates a network bound by mutual benefit rather than mere friendship. Cut toxic people immediately and completely. No explanation, no drama, just removal. They're poison to your potential. Limit time with stagnant people who aren't growing. They're anchors to your ambition. Invest heavily in relationships with people who are where you want to be, or heading in the same direction. They're accelerators to your success. Machiavelli understood. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. People judge your potential by your associations. Surround yourself with winners, and you'll be assumed a winner. Surround yourself with losers, and you'll be treated like one. Lesson 7. Knowledge without action is worthless intelligence. The world is full of smart people living mediocre lives. They read all the books, watch all the videos, attend all the seminars, but never do anything with what they learn. They're professional students of life who never graduate to actually living. The dangerously smart understand that execution beats education every single time. The gap between knowing and doing is where most people live their entire lives. They know they should start that business, but they don't. They know they should leave that toxic relationship, but they don't. They know they should develop better habits, but they don't. They have all the information but none of the implementation. Information without action is just entertainment. It makes you feel smart without making you effective. It gives you the illusion of progress without any actual movement. It's mental masturbation that feels productive but produces nothing. The dangerously smart spend 20% of their time learning and 80% executing. Most people reverse this ratio and wonder why nothing changes. Here's the framework. For every hour you spend consuming information, spend 4 hours implementing it. For every book you read, take one concrete action based on what you learned. For every piece of advice you receive, either use it immediately or discard it permanently. Stop collecting knowledge you'll never use. Start executing on the knowledge you have. The sophisticated approach is to learn just enough to take the next action. You don't need to know everything about starting a business before you register your LLC. You don't need to master psychology before you set boundaries. You don't need to understand all of investing before you open a brokerage account. Perfect knowledge is the enemy of progress. Machiavelli knew, the promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. Your past promises to yourself about what you'll do someday need to be broken by present action. Stop promising future action. Start taking imperfect action now. The dangerously smart have a bias toward action. When faced with a decision, they make it quickly and adjust based on results. When presented with an opportunity, they seize it and figure out the details later. When confronted with a challenge, they attack it immediately rather than planning the perfect response. They understand that momentum beats meditation. Lesson 8. Your enemies teach you more than your friends. Your friends tell you what you want to hear. Your enemies show you what you need to know. Your friends protect your feelings. Your enemies reveal your weaknesses. Your friends enable your delusions. Your enemies force you to confront reality. The dangerously smart value their enemies as much as their allies. Every enemy you have is a mirror showing you something about yourself you don't want to see. The coworker who undermines you is showing you where you're vulnerable to attack. The ex who betrayed you is teaching you about your blind spots in character assessment. The competitor who beats you is demonstrating where your strategy is flawed. Most people waste their enemies by focusing on hatred instead of education. They spend energy on revenge instead of improvement. They obsess over the injury instead of learning from it. The dangerously smart ask, what is this enemy teaching me about myself? What weakness did they exploit? What pattern did I miss? Your enemies are your free consultants. They'll show you exactly where your defenses are weak, where your strategy is flawed, where your reputation is vulnerable. They'll test your systems, probe your boundaries, and reveal your limitations, all for free. All you have to do is pay attention instead of getting emotional. The sophisticated approach is to be grateful for your enemies, not in a spiritual bypassing way, but in a practical strategic way. Every attack teaches you about defense. Every betrayal teaches you about trust. Every defeat teaches you about competition. Your enemies are your university of harsh reality. But here's the advanced move. Never let your enemies know they're teaching you. Let them think their attacks are affecting you emotionally while you're actually taking notes. Let them believe they're winning while you're learning their tactics. Let them exhaust themselves trying to defeat you while you're using their energy to improve yourself. Machiavelli understood. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Not to attack them, but to learn from them. Your enemies will make you stronger than your friends ever could. Your friends accept your weaknesses. Your enemies exploit them, forcing you to eliminate them. Study your enemies more carefully than your friends. What strategies do they use? What tactics work for them? What resources do they leverage? What alliances do they build? Don't copy them directly, but understand their methods. The dangerously smart learn from everyone, especially those who oppose them. These 8 lessons aren't comfortable. They're not meant to be. Comfort is the enemy of growth, the opposite of power, and the antithesis of intelligence. The dangerously smart choose discomfort, deliberately because they understand that what's comfortable is rarely what's effective. You now have a choice. You can close this video and go back to being smart but ineffective. You can return to a world where you know things but don't use them, where you understand problems but don't solve them, where you see manipulation but still fall for it. Or you can become dangerously smart. Becoming dangerously smart means accepting that the world isn't fair and stopping expecting it to be. It means understanding that everyone is playing a game whether they admit it or not, and you can either play consciously or be played unconsciously. It means recognizing that intelligence without strategy is like a gun without bullets, impressive but ultimately useless. The transformation from smart to dangerously smart isn't about becoming evil. It's about becoming effective. It's not about hurting others. It's about protecting yourself. It's not about manipulation. It's about understanding manipulation so thoroughly that you become immune to it. Remember, in a world full of sheep pretending to be innocent while harboring wolf ambitions, the person who admits they're a wolf and acts accordingly isn't the villain. They're the only one being honest. The question isn't whether you'll play the game. You're already playing whether you know it or not. The question is whether you'll play to win or continue losing while maintaining your illusion of moral superiority. The dangerously smart don't need to announce their intelligence. Their results speak for themselves. They don't need to threaten others. Their capability is evident. They don't need to manipulate situations. They position themselves so situations work in their favor automatically. This is your wake-up call. Every day you delay implementing these lessons is another day you remain vulnerable to those who already understand them. Every moment you spend being merely smart instead of dangerously smart is a moment someone else is using these principles to surpass you. The clock is ticking. The game is being played. The only question remaining is, will you be a player or a pawn? Will you be predator or prey? Will you be dangerously smart or comfortably stupid? Drop this in the comments. I choose to be dangerous. Subscribe if you're ready to stop being intellectually impressive but practically impotent. Hit the notification bell if you want to learn the specific tactics that make manipulation impossible and success inevitable. Until next time, remember, it's better to be dangerous and disciplined than smart and exploited. Stay sharp, stay strategic, stay dangerous,